Okay, so we are live. So we've had severe technical difficulties this evening with Google Hangouts, and so Macy is currently trying to join us. Um, Professor Wilson, I hope you give her lenience or give all of us lenience on this one. We just did everything we could, and technology was fighting against us. So, and Cassie might drop out as well. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyways, so the prompt for this evening is this week's lectures will be focused on leader and leadership development and leadership in a crisis. Please discuss ways that you believe the organizations can prepare leaders at all levels to respond in a crisis. The readings and lectures focus on 10 different types of crisis.
Oh,
Do
yay!
not need to address all 10, but instead focus on a crisis that are likely to impact your current workplace or the career you hope to obtain. Then participating in a pre-crisis planning for your workplace. Oh, we got her! Yay!
Hi. That was frustrating. Yeah.
So, I guess I can just read off those 10 that she was talking about.
Yeah.
And then I'll see which ones apply to me. So there's public perception, which is negative stories about the organization's products, personnel, or services. I think that one's for sure going to apply to me because I want to do public relations in the future, and so public perception is basically public relations. So that one's huge for me. Product or service is huge for public relations as well. And then the other one I think was like human resources. Public relations is involved with human resources. And then also possibly outside environment. Because even if a financial collapse were to happen or something, like my job as the PR person is to still make it like look okay somehow. So those were the ones that I kind of figured would apply to me.
I would agree with you. I can't really connect to natural disasters or but I think public perception is a big one. I don't know if any of you guys heard how like Donald Trump is like boycotting Fox News because he thinks that they're giving him a bad name and doesn't want anything to do with him because he thinks that they're giving him a bad reputation. I think it's childish, but perception.
Yeah. Well, and I think that public perception is one that kind of gets people across sectors and across organizations, like no matter what kind of organization you're in, where we live in a day and age where like you have to constantly be working through your public perception, where like people are ruined through Facebook posts with inaccurate information that just get passed around because they have some sparky title. Like, we see this all the time in nonprofits. Like, there's this old chain email that used to go around, the one talking about like how certain CEOs like has a Rolls Royce and drives a Benz, and this CEO makes this much, and none of the information is accurate. But people still share it all the time and use it as an excuse to say that like the nonprofit sector is scamming people out of their money and it's not worth donating to. And so we're constantly having to battle those perceptions of like, heaven forbid we pay our staff competitive salaries and anything more than like 20 grand a year. So
that is
the part that goes to show, like with you, Danielle, the nonprofit, it goes to show, I mean, that they are willing to pay employees and respecting them for the work that they've done. And what they're doing is something that's good, and it's donated to a good cause, but also too, like the people who are putting all this work in, we have no idea how much it takes to run a nonprofit. My guess is it's pretty difficult because you're basing your income off of somebody else, and that, I mean, it is hard in that business, like you said. And I interview where that's a pretty big deal. What do people think about our business, and how does that change how they're going to help support us?
Exactly.
I think also in the question it talks about focus on leader and leadership development and leadership in a crisis. Please discuss ways that you believe organizations can prepare leaders at all levels to respond in a crisis. So I'm actually taking for COM 414 right now, which is crisis communication. So we're kind of all we talk about is crisis in that class, and so I think that this question changes a little bit in the sense of, like, yes, we need leaders to be prepared for a crisis and what to do and how to handle it, but most of the time, the best way to handle it is actually to have a crisis team that's literally hired and paid to specifically focus on what the CMP, the crisis management plan, and what do we do? How do we prepare for the crisis? How do we handle it during? How do we handle it after? So I feel like a leader's best bet on how to handle crisis would be to make sure that they have a crisis management team and a crisis management plan in place, and then also train themselves on the basic knowledge of how to interact with the public in that sense.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that even if some people are not fortunate to have crisis management team, that is good. I mean, take classes in it, because I've seen most people, crisis happens, they all kind of throw each other under the bus rather than work through the stress and come together.
I'm kind of surprised why they put crisis in here. I mean, I understand it related to leadership, but I agree with Jessica that I feel like there are specific teams that are for this type of event that would greatly help, in that time of need. I think it would. I don't know. I wish I would have read more into this, just because I feel like crisis is just super. I don't know. It's random, and you don't know when it's going to occur. I feel like leadership is more linked to problems within the organization. So it mentioned recalls in here, and I feel like that's more of a type of leadership that a normal, employee could kind of help and facilitate and make sure that they're active in. Whereas they natural disasters, and I'm like, as a leader, there's some vocal things that you can work on, but overall, you're going to want someone to come in there and take care of it that are specializing in there's certain things that are specific to leadership in here that some people just can't do.
Well, and I think that that's also kind of to Jessica's point, you're always going to need a PR person. Someone that can train you to deal with the public and to work through it with them. And I think that that's where that leadership comes in, is more anticipating what could come off as an issue. I mean, not kind of disregarding national disasters or things that are kind of out of your company's control, but any decision you're going to make or any move that you're going to do in an organization, you have to know how to anticipate, okay, so what backlash can come from this? What communities is it going to come from? How are we going to address that ahead of time so that we're not backtracking and trying to clean up a mess? And I think that that's something that I honestly struggle with, is because for me it's this totally seems logical, and the people I'm working with, we need to do this, people will understand, but then we talk to someone outside and they're no, you can't, that's a terrible idea, and so you just have to get those different perspectives and all of that, and it's just constant research and stuff that I'm not good at, so that's why Jessica, I'm coming for you if I ever need that.
Yeah. I'm here.
Seriously. Does anyone have a crisis that they had to work through at work or seen?
I mean, I have tons of examples from my crisis management class that we could talk about if we need one. But so for example, we talked a lot about BP and their oil spill and that crisis. Mm-hmm. Oh, we lost Kathy.
Her phone died.
We talked a lot about BP and the oil spill and what crisis that was, and it kind of goes back to last week when we talked about ethics. It was interesting because it was pretty unethical what happened with that oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, because it ended up that the whole reason that happened was because the CEO and the company itself was cutting corners that they knew were problems, but they wanted to save money, and so they cut a ton of corners and ended up having millions or billions of dollars in costs and to fix that stuff. And so it's interesting. I feel like if they had a crisis management team that they actually listened to, they would have known beforehand, okay, it'd actually be cheaper for us to spend $100,000 on this one thing than spend $1 billion on cleaning up the Gulf. So that was just
Yeah, and so it's always been interesting to me. Like, I would love to take a class like that and go into kind of like the justification that companies use to cut corners, or like, you know, how they do that. Because a lot of times, so like I worked for ASU while we were building, you know, like literally building a building downtown and like getting staffing and everything together. And ASU was kind of like, don't worry about X, Y, and Z, focus on, you know, 1, 2, 3. And they were things that now we're having to deal with like 3 years later.
Yeah.
But they justify it by saying, like, oh, yeah, like, we know that that's there for a reason, but it's really not a major one, and it's okay, you know? And so you wonder, like, at what point is having too many corners and, like, loopholes that people have to jump through, when does it turn into companies feeling like they can cut corners?
Yeah.
And
then it's
when is it?
this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, like for BP, like with oil, I'm sure that there are a ton of like federal and international restrictions on what they can and can't do just because of that, like for those spills.
Yeah.
And so I wonder how much of it they were like, oh yeah, that's only there because like this one tanker, one time this happened. We don't have to worry about that. You know, like what that justification process was.
All right. Well, we're at 11 minutes, so I'm gonna stop the broadcast.
Yay!